Hello and welcome to the next video in my series covering Fantasy Grounds Savage Ruleset. In this video we'll be covering the new features based around combat that have been added in version 4.2 of the ruleset. To make use of these features we will go to the options setting and turn them on. So if you go up to options, we shall scroll down to the combat area, and the first one we shall turn on is auto roll incapacitation. So when a player or NPC is incapacitated, you can have it automatically roll on the do they drop dead table and what injuries are applied. You can set it to apply to NPCs only, or PCs only, or all. Likewise, auto roll shaken recovery. If a player or an NPC are shaken, you can set this setting so when the combat tracker moves to their turn and they're shaken, it will automatically make a spirit roll. I will turn it on for all for this demonstration. I've gone through the table and turned on most of the standard settings. One additional option that has been around for a little while but I haven't covered on one of my videos before is the Benny type. You can now change this, so as you can see at the moment it's just the default of the Savage Worlds, but you can change it to the sword and shield icon, the skull icon, or the Savage Worlds logo, the laser gun, and the alien tabs. These are basically the ones you get with the standard bennies. We've got two players connected, Betty Boop and Buck Savage, and we will be using these characters to demonstrate a combat in a minute. If we open Buck Savage's character sheet, we can see a soak button has been added. This is used to soak damage, and we'll come on to that later. If we hold down the control key, shaken and incapacitated become clickable buttons. So if we click on shaken, it will do a spirit roll, and as you can see here, combat reflexes is automatically added in. If we click on incapacitation, this is the vigor roll that will decide what happens when you're incapacitated, so we'll click on that. And we can see here that Buck Savage needs to roll on the injury table, and the wounds will go away when healed. If we right mouse button on the bennies, we have 3 extra buttons here. You have a use Benny to remove shaken, use Benny to reroll, and use Benny to soak. The use Benny to reroll is exactly the same as dragging a Benny to the combat tracker. Using a Benny to remove shaken, if we shake the character, you use the Benny to remove shaken, Benny is automatically spent and shaken is automatically unticked. And if you use a Benny to soak, then it makes a vigor roll. So what we'll do now is we'll bring up the combat tracker. We can see that Betty Boop and Buck Savage are already there. We'll bring up the image, share that with the we'll bring up the combat counter, we'll open up the battle at the henge, and I will add the NPCs to the combat tracker, and this will also add the NPCs to the map. And what I shall do is I shall make them all visible. We'll then roll for initiative, and we'll see that Betty Boop goes first. Very useful on smaller maps. It will auto center on the active character on the combat tracker unless you've turned the option off. So Betty Boop is going to basically move to over here, and she's then going to target this German soldier that's out in the open. So we'll accept her move. We can see it's a 14-inch range, however she only has a 12-inch weapon, so that's a -2 penalty for her Colt. She makes her shooting roll, and you can see she misses. On Buck Savage's go, he decides that he will basically move up to here and target that German soldier over there. So we move him up to there, but there's no line of sight when he gets there, so he can't do anything else. The German officer will take a shot at Betty Boop. The range to Betty Boop is 14 inches. The gun has a short range of 12 inches, and Betty Boop is ducked down in cover, so we'll give a -4 modifier to the attack. The German soldier will then take 3 shots. He has the rock and roll edge, so therefore he does not suffer the -2 penalty for firing on full auto. And alas, we can see that Betty Boop's been hit with a raise and hit. The first one being hit with a raise has automatically activated the damage dice. So we shall roll the damage, which will automatically add the damage dice, which results in 2 wounds on Betty Boop. You can see here on the combat tracker, a damage of 16 against a toughness 5 will shake Betty and cause 2 wounds. So Betty at this point chooses to use a Benny to soak. The soak roll was a natural 1, which soaks 1 of the wounds, so the wounds have automatically taken down to 1. She's happy with that, so we'll apply the damage. As you can see, the wound and shaking is applied to Betty. However, there is a second hit to come in. This also wounds Betty. She decides she will attempt to soak it again. What we do is we right mouse button and we say use a Benny to soak. As you can see here, Betty Boop has taken a wound, but she has nerves of steel, so the wound penalty is automatically ignored. That gives her toughness 5, which means she soaks that one, so we hit apply. She's automatically unshaken because she negated the second damage, but she's still taken a wound. On to the next round of combat. So Buck Savage decides that he still needs to get a better line of sight, so he moves over to here. Having flanked the soldier, Buck moves in to attack and opens fire, causing a hit with a raise, a hit and a hit. The hit with a raise has automatically turned on the Buck's damage dice. You can't see it on my screen, but when he rolls, it will automatically roll the damage dice. This has shaken him. Then rolling the other two attacks, we can see what we have ended up with is a shaken result, an unharmed result, and a shaken result. So we will apply all three. As the soldier was already shaken, when he's shaken a second time, he's incapacitated, he fails his vigour roll, and he dies. So we shall remove him from the combat track. Then the German officers go. So combat moves on to the German officer. He's moved in, so he's only 9 inches away. He will open fire. And Betty Boop. Missing, hitting, missing. We'll roll the damage. Now I deliberately rolled the wrong damage here. I rolled the potato masher damage, but that's not a problem. All we have to do to cancel it is click the cancel button, and then I can roll the correct damage. Or I could shoot again. I could then roll the correct damage, which inflicts another 2 wounds on Betty Boop. Now, as a GM, I can literally drag this down, drop a Benny on the damage roll to automatically apply a soak roll for Betty. And as you can see here, the soak is applied. So Betty's now taken 2 wounds. Betty's also shaken, so automatically an auto shaken roll is made, and the shaken status was automatically removed. She opens fire with her Colt, which hits and rolls for damage. Now we shall also turn on the extra damage die and actually add an extra dice in. We're cheating the rolls here because I'm just trying to get the effect, trying to cause at least 1 wound on the German officer. So the German officer's taken a single wound and he's shaken. So as you saw just now, if I want to spend a Benny as the German officer to soak the damage, I drag one of his Bennies, drop it on the damage applied. The damage is completely soaked, he's not shaken, hit apply. We'll give the German officer 3 wounds, and on Betty's initiative, she's moved into hand to hand. They want to take the German officer alive. So what happens here is she's going to punch the officer, like so. Missing obviously, but again we'll cheat a little and give her a considerable advantage, not that she needed it. So she's hit the officer with a raise. She'll roll the punching damage. Again, she didn't need it, and as we can see here, the German officer's been incapacitated because he's taken a wound. He's out of bennies, we'll say, so we can't apply that. We hit apply, and he's knocked out. Now, the reason he's knocked out, as opposed to being incapacitated, which we'll do with the German soldier down here in a minute, is because of a new setting that's been enabled for weapons. If we open up Betty Boop's character sheet and go to punch, you can see that a punch does non-lethal damage. If you're incapacitated by a non-lethal attack, you're automatically knocked out. If we go down to the German soldier down here, so if we take Betty off targeting the officer and targeting the German soldier, and this time we'll do Bowie damage, we'll also again give her a ridiculous combat bonus to the damage. So this poor chap's had 6 wounds applied to him. Now a Bowie knife is has the default weapon setting, which is normally lethal, so when he's incapacitated, the incapacitation roll applies. And that basically covers the new combat features and soak and damage features of this rule set. I hope you found it informative, and hopefully find it very useful. Any questions or requests for other videos or covering anything, please post it in the comments. Thank you very much.